All right, welcome everybody. It is Monday, February 16th, President's Day. And we all know what that means. It means if you want new furniture or a mattress, it's all on sale for some reason. Don't know why, but yep, President's Day, typically big mattress sale weekend. If that's your thing, if you're in the market, not shilling for big mattress here. Just saying, take advantage of the deals while you can. I'm also laughing though because I saw at the beginning of the chat, I guess somebody had sent a message and then deleted it. So all I can see is message retracted. And my immediate thought was, oh shit, we got Pam Bondi in the chat today. And then I sat here for like 3 minutes laughing at my own internal thought. So that was fun. We have a ton of stuff to talk about today. We have some weird stuff. We have some infuriating stuff. We have some truly disturbing stuff. We're running the whole spectrum here of fun, crazy, stupid, terrifying, which is kind of fun. We're going to start off fun with Mike Lindell, and we're going to get a little more serious and somber as it goes on, unfortunately. But it's always best to do that. We'll start off lighthearted and progressively get angrier as the stream goes on. Thomas DC in Canada says, so a normal day in the States. Yeah, we start off happy, and then the day happens and it just gets worse. How old is Mike? Are you asking about Mike Lindell? He is 64, which actually, to be honest, is younger than I thought. I thought the guy was, 70s, but 64. So let's jump in. If everybody remembers, a couple streams ago, I talked about the fact that I wish I had some Mike Lindell news to give everybody because I get to do my Mike Lindell impression, and I really enjoy doing that. It's one of the few good impressions I can do. And good news, we've got some hilarious news with Mike Lindell, who, of course, is running for governor of the state of Minnesota. Against all odds, he's going to do it. And a new report has revealed that he has spent over half of the campaign cash that he has raised buying copies of his own book. And here's another thing that I have to point out about my predictions here. Called it back in December when Lindell was first toying with the idea of running for office and then, of course, announced that he was running for office. I stated at the time, I was like, the guy has no chance of winning, but he has repeatedly told us over the last couple years that he is totally broke. And one of the best ways to get a lot of kind of free money here in the United States is to run for political office, because the campaign finance laws that we do have are not only lax, but they're also rarely enforced. So if you're clever with it, you can find ways to enrich yourself through a campaign without violating any laws. And that appears to be exactly what Mike Lindell did. Maybe he was tuning in to those segments where I mentioned that. Maybe I gave him the idea. I hope I sure as hell didn't. But that is exactly what it appears Lindell has done. Lindell has only raised $356,000 in the 2 months that he's been running for governor, which is a very pathetic amount of money. But he has already spent $187,000 purchasing copies of his own book titled, What Are the Odds? From Crack Addict to CEO. $187,000 on that book. So we're going to do something fun right here. We're going to go to the Barnes & Noble website, and we're going to see how much that book goes for, so we can get an idea of how much money he has actually, or how many copies he has purchased. This will be fun. Searching now. There it is. All right, $29.99 for paperback. That's more expensive than I thought it would be, but still $30 per book, $187,000. And he's supposed to be spending that running for governor. But Lindell claims he's using those books as campaign material, right? Like he's giving them out to the voters so they can learn who he is. I mean, this is such a massive, obvious, stupid grift that I'm almost impressed by it. Like, he did exactly what I predicted he was going to do. He's told us he's broke. He used the campaign money to basically put money back into his own pockets in a fully, yet stupidly legal way. Like, there's nothing illegal about this. We're allowed to do that here in the United States. Like, if you ever write a book and it's just a horrible piece of garbage, nobody's buying it, all you have to do is declare yourself a candidate for office, start your little PAC, get people to donate money, use that money to buy your own book, boom, bang, money in the bank. That is how stupid our campaign finance laws are here in the United States. And for the record, doesn't have to be a book. Maybe you sell t-shirts. Maybe you sell jewelry. Maybe you sell pizzas. But apparently in the United States, as long as you're running for office and it's a legit campaign expense, you can buy stuff from yourself, give it to people in hopes that they will vote for you. And even if you lose, you still made a lot of money. Absolute, utter insanity what our campaign finance laws are. And nobody seems to care. I mean, I'm talking about the regulators, the law enforcement. Nobody cares. We're just going to let people do this. And that is exactly what Mike Lindell is taking advantage of. And that is exactly why Mike Lindell is even running for office. Lindell knows he doesn't have a snowball's chance in hell of winning that race. A Republican has not won a statewide race in the state of Minnesota in 20 years. 2006 was the last time a Republican won a statewide race in Minnesota. But Lindell was asked, like, hey, you're kind of doing all this. Are you self-funding your campaign? And he said, I can't self-fund. I don't have any money left. Well, now you do. He also said, when you're going around to all the places in Minnesota, other people are given a flyer. I'm giving them the whole book so they know who I am. And who gets the profits off those books? Who gets the proceeds, right? Like who might be making themselves a bestseller, even though your book's been around for quite a while here, Mike? You reap all the benefits. You know these people aren't going to vote for you. I mean, you can tell that due to the paltry sum that you have raised. And he's laughing all the way to the bank, taking full advantage of our very lax campaign finance rules. He's not breaking any laws. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not even trying to imply that he is, because he's not. And that's the problem with the overall system. He's not breaking any laws with such an obvious grift. So, I don't know. Again, good for him, right? Taking advantage of the system, finding the loopholes, working his way through it. Got a chat here from Vondact, member for 2 months. Well, thank you very much for that. Says, thank you so much for your hard work, accurate information. Well, I appreciate that. That is very nice. Moondragon says, I miss Tim Walz already. Pale Horse says he makes about $1.35 on each Amazon sale of his dumb book. So he's not getting rich off it, but he's getting something. And that's what matters. I mean, it doesn't matter how much of it he gets. If he gets the whole thing, if he gets a buck, whatever, we have to reform these campaign finance laws here in the United States. I mean, it's absurd. The things that campaigns spend money on buying their own book. Like Lauren Boebert, remember, she was under FBI investigation because she drove like 30,000 miles allegedly around the state of Colorado campaigning. And then, of course, she reimbursed herself the mileage. And that happened to be when her restaurant was like super behind on their bills. And then after she got paid that money, the restaurant was suddenly caught back up on the bills. And the FBI was investigating and they did nothing. And they did nothing. And that was just one of many potential campaign finance violations that Boebert had done that she was being investigated for. And nothing. I don't even know if they just finished the investigation or if they were like, who cares? Nobody's going to do anything anyway. But that is the problem with this entire system of politics. We don't have politicians. We have grifters. We have people who see a way to make a quick buck and they take advantage of it. Usually, not always, but usually in a fully legal way, because that's how stupid our laws are. V-Man says the Dems could nominate a pine cone and it beat Mike Lindell in a landslide. I agree. I hope they don't. I hope they have something better than a pine cone, but sometimes a little iffy. Vargas Pureblood says, pretty sure Lindell put down more lines through his nose than on the page. Dang. Softer Taco says, Lindell shouldn't have a dime to his name after the voter fraud BS he was peddling. I agree. And according to him, he doesn't. But he's got a little more now thanks to his book sales and the idiots willing to donate money to his campaign. Like, what kind of moron? Look, I assume, and maybe this is me going way too far out on a limb, but I have to assume that anybody who supports Mike Lindell, probably not like the most financially well-off type person, right? You don't see Wall Street investors and doctors and lawyers lining up behind this guy. And I'm not saying this to be rude. I'm not saying it to be disrespectful to anyone. But let's face it. I'm pretty sure Mike Lindell's base is, lower income, lower educated, people that don't have money to spare. And so the fact that he even got $357,000 from these people is horrifying. People that probably don't even have 2 pennies to rub together to keep their fingers warm this winter, and they're giving it to this idiot, and he's spending it all on himself. I mean, that is infuriating. I'm not saying necessarily that I feel bad for the people that are giving him money. If you're dumb enough to do it, you deserve the discomfort to a degree. But I mean, at some point, people have to understand they're destroying themselves to support these lunatics, whether it's buying a MAGA hat, giving money to Mike Lindell, or any of these other grifters out there. You're losing everything while they laugh at you. Token Black Cheese says, the same morons that voted to have the leopards as friends. Very well put. Let's move on from Mike Lindell, even though I do enjoy talking about him. Sorry, my voice is a little scratchy today. I've pretty much gone like all weekend without talking very much. So little scratchy, a little rusty, I guess. But on Friday, Donald Trump threatened to bomb even more sites in the country of Iran. And even though he says he already destroyed all of their so-called nuclear sites, he said, maybe we'll go back and bomb the dust. A reporter asked Donald Trump on Friday, quote, you said inside the Iranian nuclear sites have been totally obliterated. What's left to go after? And Trump said, well, you could get whatever the dust is down there. That's really the least of the mission. If we do it, that would be the least of the mission. But we, probably grab whatever's left. It's been obliterated, as you know. Trump has so far spent $500 million bombing Iran. right? These so-called nuclear sites that we later found out there was literally nothing there, basically just big empty buildings, and Trump's bombing them at a cost of $500 million, $500 million we have spent knocking down buildings in a country we shouldn't be involved in to stop a threat that Trump himself created by getting us out of that Iran nuclear agreement. And we're paying the price for it. But this is a demented old fool who is threatening to bomb this country into rubble, partially because you guys have killed protesters. How's that for irony, folks? Donald Trump doesn't like it when other governments kill their own citizens for protesting. He thinks they should be invaded and have their leadership overthrown. Better be careful what you wish for there, bud, because, you've done it on camera. Not you personally, but members of your administration, because everyone that works for these departments are members of this administration. But here's another twist in this story. On the same day that Donald Trump is out there talking about bombing the dust in Iran, he was also spotted with more new bruising on his hands. So not only do we have this demented guy serving as president of the United States, he is also covering up, quite literally with all the makeup, all of these physical health problems that he is suffering from. And it made me think of this. When Putin initially invaded Ukraine, right, and that whole campaign began, he was, terrorizing them, bombing them, and all of that, which of course is still going on. But the speculation at the time, based on video footage of Putin, was that he is suffering some very serious health problems. And it's because of these health problems, the, potentially end of life type stuff. They were talking about potential cancers that couldn't be treated. He's acting out and he's like, well, I'm going to die soon, so I need to do all this crazy crap now to cement whatever legacy it is I think I'm building. Is that what's happening with Trump? Is that why we've sacked Venezuela? Is that why he's attacking Iran and Nigeria and wanting to annex Canada and Greenland? And, the potential invasion of Cuba that does appear to be on the horizon, his threats against Mexico, annexing them. Is it because Trump knows his health is failing and he's running out of time? He wants these other pieces of the world to cement that legacy. On top of that, his mental disorders prevent him from being inhibited, right? Absolutely nothing holding him back. He's got nothing to lose. He's not going to be around to deal with the ramifications of the things that he's done. So why not just do them? He can be more impetuous because his brain is not functioning, and the part that is functioning tells him, listen, you don't have much time. Tick-tock, buddy. Let's do these crazy things while we still have the chance. So I think that is playing a big role in this. I think that is partially why we are seeing him acting out with the threats against other countries, with the actual attacks on other countries, is because he knows, and his body is showing everybody, he may not have much time left. Some super chats came through here. Zintoin says, with some Republicans deep in the closet and others hypocrites about non-monogamous affairs, I've wondered what it would be like if they didn't have self-hate. Some may need divine permission, and I know personal morale is another task. It's an interesting point there. I do really agree, though, that we have a lot of Republicans who are suppressing who they are, who they're meant to be, who they want to be, but solely based on their political party or, their religion du jour, they're not. And it's causing them to act out, to lash out, to attack others. I think we have a lot of that within the Republican Party, state, local, federal, all of it. Just really, very telling and some seemingly very obvious too. You know, but you choose the party of bigotry, you got to hide your true self, I guess. And that's on them. So Donald Trump, as I've talked about repeatedly, constantly, weekly, not doing well in the polls. And late last week, 3 new polls came out. There was a Harvard Caps Harris poll, a Rasmussen Reports poll, and of course, a YouGov Economist poll. And all 3 of these polls, and again, Rasmussen is like super conservative leaning, but all 3 of these polls showed that Donald Trump's own base is absolutely cratered, because they all showed that either a majority or a plurality of people polled said that they wish they had Biden back in office instead of this guy. The Harvard Caps poll showed that 51% of registered voters say Trump is doing a worse job than Biden. Rasmussen said 48% of voters believed Biden did a better job, while only 40% said Trump did a better job. And of course, the YouGov Economist poll showed that 46% say Trump is worse than Biden, 40% believe Trump is better than Biden, 7% say about the same. So 3 different polls, including a hugely conservative pollster, all found voters want the other guy back. I mean, it wasn't perfect, but it sure as hell was better than what we've seen in the first year of this guy's second term. You know, hindsight is always 20/20, right, voters? I mean, you had the opportunity. You could have kept, at least similar, obviously not the same guy because he dropped out, but you thought that the grass was greener over there. So you said, well, let's go back to this guy who was so great the first time. We just needed to get more of it, right? No. That's what kind of kills me about the 2024 election. It's not like this was a newcomer who we didn't know what they would do. It was a guy we had already given 4 years to. He screwed up literally everything, tanked the economy, put us into a recession, sent farmers to record numbers of bankruptcies, and that group still voted for him by like 70%. And then 4 years of Biden, and they were like, well, let's see what Trump can do this time. Maybe he won't mess up everything, and maybe he's learned his lesson, as if he hadn't been on Truth Social being totally insane for the 4 years he was out of office. And then they just did it again. And now, 1 year in, they're like, oh boy, I made the biggest mistake of my life. I don't know what I'm going to do. You're going to suffer through it. You put us in this position. You did this to us. You voted based on hate and bigotry. You just didn't think you were going to be the targets of those. You thought your bank account was going to explode. But nope, it shrank. And it continues to shrink. Your paychecks are not going as far as they did a year and a half ago. But that's what you voted for. You had 4 years of Trump in office to tell you that this was a stupid idea. Not a bad idea, a stupid idea. But you did it anyway. And now here we are 1 year and 1 month in, and you're like, man, I sure wish Biden was back. That guy was the bee's knees. I just love it. Well, you get what you vote for. As somebody just said in the chat, racism is very expensive. Yeah. And unfortunately, a lot of Americans are finding that out the hard way. So I don't have too much sympathy for y'all with that. Some super chats. Skeets here says they are trying to do all they can to distract from the Epstein files, including this kidnapping that no one is watching, or as more revelations come out daily. Yeah, look, I mean, my heart goes out to the Guthrie family. I hope the mother is okay and they find her and everything is okay. But it's all like, I also don't care. Like, I don't care to see it in the news. And in fact, the other night, like in the Olympics, when they like, oh, we got the footage, and they showed the same footage for like a 10-second clip over and over and over. You interrupted the Olympics to show us this. Like, this is a personal matter for the family, for the law enforcement. But I don't need that all over my homepages every time I'm looking for news. I'm sorry. I don't mean any disrespect to anybody, but Jesus, like, do your job, get this woman safe, pray for the family. If you're a praying person, hope for the best for everybody. But I sorry. Like, my mom will call me and try to update me on it. I'm like, I don't care. I don't know. I haven't followed. That's not the type of news that I'm involved in. And again, I don't mean any disrespect, and I hope it doesn't come across as such, but this shouldn't be national news. It shouldn't. I'm sorry, but it shouldn't. 13 Bright Yellow says, praying for the day I no longer have to see the Cheeto in Chief's name. You and me both. Skeets here says, Farmer blanks are up 400% since he took office. Obvious reason why I cannot, unfortunately, say that word. YouTube will, in fact, punish it. But yeah, it's terrifying what's happening to American farmers who, again, definitely voted for this. People can't grasp choosing the lesser of two evils. And I do see, we don't want to have to pick the lesser of two evils. And I will say a lot of that comes from the left that I am a part of. We get angry when it's like, man, this person's not progressive enough. But honestly, I don't even think we saw a ton of that in 2024. We really didn't. Everybody was kind of like, yeah, we're not thrilled, but we're going to do it because we've seen the alternative. But yeah, we're in a lesser of two evils system. Unfortunately, I don't like it. I don't want it, but I am always going to vote for the lesser of two evils without a doubt. Scorpio ZA says, evening. Did you see Brian Tyler Cohen's interview with Obama over the weekend and the controversy regarding aliens afterward? I saw the clip where he's like, yeah, there's aliens. We don't have them here, but yeah, there's, that was fun. I liked that. Really cool. I haven't seen the controversy. I imagine, obviously, that there would be, but look, right? Like, just be honest with us, everybody. Like, when you're no longer in office and you know things that are not necessarily going to get anybody harmed, just be like, yeah, you know what? They're there. They're real. They're really cool looking too. I saw some pictures. It's awesome. Like, just come on, tell us things. I don't know if Obama was being serious or facetious or what it is, or if he was doing some kind of play on words, but that, very interesting. Brian Tyler Cohen did a good job with that. I'm glad he asked him that question too. That was good. Christopher Frankowski says, didn't the Alzheimer patient last year vow to take back the Panama Canal? Did he just stop talking about it, or did he just forget that he wants it? I am assuming he forgot, because that was a big that was kind of one of the first things. Greenland, I think, was the first. And then he's like, we're taking the Panama Canal. We paid so much for it, and then they just use it, and we don't have it, and that is ridiculous. But yeah, I had forgotten about that. We've had so many crazy outrages that it's, hard to keep up. Skeets here says, the only reason that the Dems get called evil is Republican propaganda, especially Jimmy Carter. He was a real Christian, not like these hypocrites. Jimmy Carter, upon leaving office, was like just a great human being. Something that I think all people who become president should strive to be after they leave office. I really wish more of them would do that kind of public service, not for the fanfare, not for the, clicks and likes, but because that's what a good person does. So Jimmy Carter was great. I'm going to do 2 more super chats and then I'm moving on, folks. So if you've got a super chat you want to send, I do advise you hold it for now, because I'm only going to do these 2 more and then I'm going to go into stories here. Wade Pulliam says, the list of politically exposed individuals has me enraged at the clear cover-up. We're actually about to do an Epstein segment on that, by the way.
including Joplin, who died when Epstein was 17, shows the clear mudding up of the waters. I agree 100%. It absolutely, I mean, JD Vance's name is in those files, even though like he wasn't even a thing. So they're really not, not to defend JD Vance, all kinds of stuff. They're like, yep, these are just names that somebody said in an email. And so we're putting them all out there. So you don't know if it's just a mention in passing, like, hey, did you see the JD Vance of the news said something stupid? Or, hey, thanks for giving me little kids to play with over the weekend. Like, we don't know what's what. It's all very dumb. V-Man says, Farron, what do you think of Vindman for Senate? I have not looked into him at all. That at this point, I am not focused on any like individual races like that at all. From the history of Vindman, I think he'd be good. Obviously, much better than any Republican. But in terms of the nitty gritty, that's going to be months and months down the road. It's not the time yet for me as a, news guy to dig into individuals. That will come this year. Absolutely. Is definitely not yet. There's too many people, too many races. So once we get through primaries, that's when it's time. But thank you. I do appreciate that question. Sorry. Comment there got me. JD's coming. Put the couch protectors on. That's good. That's good. Jesus. Kind of hard to move into a more serious story after a comment like that. I appreciate it. Oh, Lord. Comment of the day. Use one. I wish I had a prize to give you. The only prize I have, unfortunately, because he never came and claimed it, is my Trump award. A little hurt that he hasn't come to get his award. This was hard. Like, I had to get my cat to pose for the picture. So I guess if you want this, you win it. Not that you are the thing it says, but comment of the day, I give you the cat pic. It just fell. We want to see your dogs. They're napping. They do their breakfast. They run outside for a couple hours, and then it's nap time. Typically, they do wake up right about the time I finish the stream. And then I, go outside with them for a little bit, but for now. Okay, last super chat, and then I'm moving on to Epstein here. Fergie says, less of two evils is right. I hate that every U.S. political topic boils down to a false dichotomy. Everything here is so embarrassing. Okay, that's a good point. That is a really, really, really good point, because you have far too many people who look around and say like, well, there's really no difference between the two parties. Right? I can't see the daylight between Republicans and Democrats. And if you're that kind of person, then congratulations, you're dumb. You're genuinely a stupid person. If you look at these two political parties and you tell yourself that I don't see any difference at all, well, instead of voting, how about you go get a pack of Crayola crayons and start drawing some pretty pictures for yourself, because you're equipped to do that, but you're definitely too dumb to be voting on what happens in this country. Not that I'm discouraging people from voting, but dear God, there is plenty of difference between the two. One is evil. One is not. One makes bad choices sometimes, sure. One can be a little too corporate at times on certain issues, absolutely. But the other one does that 100% of the time regardless, even when they don't have to be evil. They just choose to be evil because they're a-holes. Anyway, Europe is continuing to hold their politicians, their business leaders, their thought leaders accountable for showing up in the Epstein files
while here in the United States, nothing is happening to any of these people. In the United Kingdom, in Norway, in France, in Belgium, there are now criminal investigations underway into powerful men who have appeared in those Epstein files. Some of them are likely going to prison for being in those files, and of course, the information that came out about what they may or may not have done. And here in the United States, what happens? Well, Howard Lutnick goes in there, Commerce Secretary, tells Congress, look, I was just there passing through on my boat. I brought my kids to Epstein Island. And we had a lunch, and then I got on the boat and left. Y'all are making a big deal out of nothing. Meanwhile, over in Europe, yes, some of them are trying to downplay it like Lutnick did. Others are coming out and apologizing for ever being associated with him, for ever conversing with him. We don't even see any of that here in the United States. Has anyone who has appeared in these Epstein files showed genuine remorse here in the United States? Oh, some of them have said like, oh yeah, I'm sorry I'm in there, but it's because it's politically expedient for you to say that. You don't say anything with conviction. You don't say anything with passion. You don't get choked up thinking about it. You're just like, yeah, I mean, if I'd known then, I definitely wouldn't have done it. So let's move on now because I don't want to talk about this anymore. I said what I said and let's go. But in Europe, accountability is happening. Justice for the victims here in the United States is happening overseas, and we're not doing anything because we're actually being ruled at the highest levels by the people in those files. Let me read you this. France's former culture minister, Jacques Lang, resigned as head of a Paris cultural center after the French foreign ministry sought to question him about his ties to Epstein. Former Norwegian Prime Minister Thorbjørn Jagland this week was charged with gross corruption by police there and could face up to 10 years in prison after emails showed he stayed in Epstein's homes in New York and Florida and visited Epstein's private island in the Caribbean. Also this month, Mona Juul resigned as Norway's ambassador to Jordan after revelations that Epstein left $10 million in his will to her children. So these aren't even people that are necessarily like being accused of crimes. And they're like, all right, listen, I'm not going to hold any office. I'm not going to hold any position. I'm not even going to be on the board of the cultural center because I know how bad it is that I was associated with this man. We're not getting that in the United States at all. These people go about their day. These people tell us we're being obsessive. And we need to move on, and we are falling for the fake news about Epstein, and y'all just need to chill out because, hey, the Dow, right? The Dow's over 50,000. I don't know why you guys are talking about Epstein. It's back under 50,000, by the way, though. But that is the difference between what's happening here, where we're actually being ruled by those abusers, versus overseas, where many of those abusers and even just associates are being held accountable. European reporters are laughing at the USA and wonder how the hell no one has been arrested. Don't worry, though, receipts are being kept. I hope so. And not just I hope they're laughing at us. I hope that those individuals will eventually face accountability here in the United States. I'm not holding my breath for it, but maybe. Skeets here also says, it is not just Americans. One of Andrew's exes said that you were a loser if you were not in the files. F me, she even said it was not a ring of trafficking. My God. You're not cool unless you're in the Epstein files. Just shockingly disgusting, honestly. And speaking of shockingly disgusting, as everybody knows, this past Saturday was, of course, Valentine's Day. So it's a chance for politicians to send out fundraising emails about love and all of that fun stuff. And, usually there's nothing wrong with that. Unless, of course, you're the type of politician that has been found civilly liable for sexual assault, and you send the very woman who you allegedly sexually assaulted an email that says, "It's Valentine's Day. I love you, and I was pretty sure you loved me back." But that is exactly the email that E. Jean Carroll received from the Trump campaign on Saturday. A jury in the defamation trial found him civilly liable for the sexual assault that occurred. Not criminally liable, obviously. He has not been convicted of that, and there are no criminal charges. But this woman, who is a survivor, received an email from the man she says abused him saying, "I love you, and I was pretty sure you loved me back." Now, let's take this to another level of creepy. E. Jean Carroll is obviously not somebody that has ever donated money to Donald Trump. She's probably somebody that's never donated money or supported the campaign of any Republican ever anywhere. Yet somehow her email address ended up on the Trump campaign mailing list. So one can only assume that they took her email from all the court stuff that they had and added her to the email list. You want to go another level of creepy? Let's do it. As far as we know, this was the first campaign email that she's gotten from them. So it's almost like they specifically added her just to target her with this creepy ass message that, again, it was sent to everybody, not just her. But if this was the first one she received, it would stand to reason that they thought, you know what? Let's pour a little salt on that wound and add her so she gets this creepy ass Valentine's message from the man that she claims sexually assaulted her in a department store changing room. So, yeah, that's pretty disturbing. And of course, E. Jean Carroll got on social media, shared an image of it. She said, "Yes, this is a real email. No, I did not sign up on this mailing list. Yes, we are living in a crazy world." Crazy might be the mildest word to use right now. Disturbing, disgusting, absolutely just horrific. But that's what Trump is. This is what they do. They put her on that mailing list knowing she never signed up and sent her this creepy ass email. V-Man says, former Puerto Rican Governor Anibal Civita Vila was photographed with Jeffrey Epstein in Puerto Rico Executive Mansion, La Fortaleza. He has since denied any wrongdoing, saying it was professional. Apologies. I do struggle with the pronunciation of, words sometimes, especially non-English words. I'm not even that great with pronouncing English words and writing either. So, yeah, sorry if I kind of stumbled through that. We should launch an investigation because I don't understand certain words. If I were a Republican, that's what we do. No. And I have a tendency, as I've said repeatedly with names as well, to pronounce things phonetically. So it often means I'm mispronouncing a lot of things. So my apologies for that. But yes, more and more people in Epstein files making excuses for it rather than showing contrition. And that is absolutely disturbing. We got several more stories definitely got to get to today. I do want to get a couple of these comments here. This one says, why would your channel put me in timeout? Explain yourselves. I don't know. I have no control over any of that. I don't mess with the comments. The only comment I do is each day before the stream, I type out like the stream will start in X number of minutes. Sometimes I put an exclamation point. Sometimes I don't. But yes, that is me personally typing that. Beyond that, the only thing I have with comments is reading them on the stream. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. You may have broken the rules of the mods. We got some pretty strict mods. I don't even want to get, crossed with them because I don't want to get banned. But yeah, they do a really good job, though. I will say the mods, I love you all. I love what you're doing. You guys are great. Oh, YouTube puts people in timeout. Oh, well, screw YouTube to a degree. Obviously, we're dependent upon them. But I don't know. That is weird. I really don't know. I'm sorry. You can get into timeout if you say something obnoxious. That seems a little subjective, right? But sure. I mean, I don't know the rules. I'm just the guy talking. I don't know. Anyway, let's keep going here because Kristi Noem came out over this past weekend and basically announced that she was going to be helping Donald Trump to steal the upcoming midterm elections. Kristi Noem went out there and said, quote, "Elections is another one of those critical infrastructure responsibilities that I have as well. And I would say that many people believe that it may be one of the most important things that we need to make sure we trust is reliable, and that when it gets to election day, that we've been proactive to make sure that we have the right people voting, electing the right leaders to lead this country through the days that we have, knowing that people can trust it." Okay, aside from her horrific grammar that sounds like a drunk person trying to tell you something real serious, we have to have the right people voting to elect the right leaders. Now, if she had only said, we have to have the right people voting, still a bad thing to say, but obviously something that she could dismiss and be like, by the right people, I mean people that are legally here in the United States and registered to vote. Obviously, those are the right people. The wrong people are people who legally can't vote. So that one would be easy to explain. But when you add the caveat, the right people to elect the right leaders, you've just given up the game. You've just said the quiet part out loud. Because what you mean is, I'm going to weaponize the Department of Homeland Security to disenfranchise Democratic voters, something that Homeland Security has no jurisdiction over whatsoever. That is 100% the Department of Justice. But I'm going to do it anyway, claiming it's part of my job, even though it's clearly not, so that we can get the right people in office. I know how she's going to do it. In many states, obviously, people with criminal convictions cannot vote. People who are in jail cannot vote. Kristi Noem controls ICE. ICE has been arresting, wrongfully, illegally, of course, lots of protesters, right? Lots and lots and lots and lots and lots of protesters. And we know that there are calls, Steve Bannon's leading the charge, to have ICE serve as election security, putting ICE agents all around polling stations. So you get a bunch of protesters to show up because ICE is present in and around the voting areas, including the days before. You arrest them, you keep them in jail overnight, you let them go the next day, no charges, whatever, but they can't vote when they're in jail. And obviously, anybody who's out there protesting ICE, probably not going to be voting for Republicans. So, bing, bang, boom, Homeland Security helps disenfranchise voters by literally taking them off the streets for 24 hours and then letting them go. Or, of course, detaining them even longer. Or giving them fake criminal charges and then having your goons try to threaten and intimidate them, saying, like, if you're a criminal, you can't vote. Do you have criminal charges against you? That may be illegal. they're going to use Kristi Noem and her ice brown shirts to disenfranchise as many people as possible on bogus terms. This isn't about making sure that only legal people can vote. It's about taking legal voters away so that they can't vote for the people who are not Republican. Of course, the SAVE Act was passed by the House of Representatives last week, requiring proof of citizenship to register to vote. Guess what? That's the state's job. When you register to vote, you go in there with your ID, depending on the requirements in your area, you sign up, it goes into the state database. The state then cross-checks it because they have the technology, they have the ability. Literally takes a couple seconds per name, not a big deal. And it'll either say like, yep, this person's real, or nope, this person can't. It's super simple and easy, and it's a system that works so well that voter fraud is basically even rarer than getting struck by lightning. But Kristi Noem and Donald Trump, of course, insist that you got to have your birth certificate, something that a shockingly high number of people here in the United States do not possess. I think it's like 17 to 20% of people do not have the documentation needed to register to vote under the SAVE Act. And that's honestly not that shocking. Up until, just a few years ago, I didn't have all my information. I had to go track down this tiny ass courthouse in the state of Alabama, city of Montgomery, because that's where we lived for, about 9 months. But that's where my last name was changed legally after my mom had remarried. But without that official, stamped document from the court that took weeks to track down, cost a lot more money than you'd think for one tiny document, it was a huge pain in the butt. And most people probably don't have the time or resources or ability to do things like that. But if you don't have every single document, every step along the way of your life, whether you've had name changes, marriage, name changes, things like that, birth certificate, you're out of luck. That's what the SAVE Act does. Because this administration only wants the right people voting to elect the right leaders. And they will do everything in their power to make sure that the right people are Republicans and the right leaders are also Republicans. Anyone worried about Cuba here? I am tremendously. Now, I'm assuming you're obviously talking about the administration invading Cuba because Marco Rubio is pushing for it. And yeah, I've talked about that many times, especially in the last few weeks. I think that is starting to heat up. Rubio is definitely pushing for that to happen. And we're going to get there, unfortunately. Do you think the SAVE Act will pass the Senate? I don't know. I mean, there's rumors that some of the Republicans not exactly on board with it. I don't know that I believe that. I think it will. Republicans have always wanted this. Republicans always want to disenfranchise voters. It's a tactic they've been using for over 26 years, and they're going to continue to do it by any means necessary. The strange one says there's nothing in the Constitution that requires a voter to be a citizen. The amendment just allowed more than white males to vote. Everything else regarding voter eligibility is up to the states. Yeah. And like I said, the states have their systems in place. It's all digitized, right? So if somebody registers to vote and they're not a citizen, the system's going to flag it. So there's no need for it. And then, of course, with the whole voter ID thing, I'm totally in favor of it as long as the government starts providing free of charge IDs for every single American citizen. And for those who are unable to leave their homes to get to a DMV to go get an ID card, the government, at their own expense, has to send people to their homes to take their photo, to take their information, and create an ID card for them. So if you're going to require it, you have to provide it at your own expense. And if they want to do that, which I do think is actually not a bad idea, everybody should have an ID card, just, in general, then sure, go ahead and do voter ID because everybody will have one. And in fact, don't just give everybody one, give everybody two, right? So that we have backup. Save you a little trouble on the back end if you do that. Let's get into the depressing news. According to a new poll from Gallup, who of course is no longer doing presidential approval rating polls because President Pissy Pants there, but according to a new Gallup survey, the number of Americans who feel optimistic about the future in general has now hit an all-time low. It's still a majority of Americans say they're optimistic about the future, don't get me wrong. But in the 20-ish years that Gallup has been conducting this poll on American optimism, they have never had this few Americans say that they're optimistic about the future. Almost 60% of Americans now say they anticipate having a, quote, high quality of life in the future, a level that Gallup reports is about 9 percentage points lower than at the height of the COVID-19 pandemic. Americans were more optimistic about the future during the height of COVID than they are today. So during a deadly pandemic, going around the globe, people stuck in their homes for months, more of those people were like, you know what? The future's going to be good. Today, no pandemic, right? You can come and go as you please. But fewer people are optimistic about the future. So people are looking around during COVID, thousands and thousands in America alone dying every day, saying, yeah, future's going to be pretty good though. And those same people today are like, no, the future is not good. I'd rather go back to the pandemic days when I had hope. When I had hope during the pandemic versus what I see now. So what could the difference be? Why were more people optimistic during COVID than they are today? Well, a good reason for that is because COVID happened during an election year. And these people who said the future is going to get better knew that they, at that moment, had the chance to make the future better in just a couple months. Whereas today, we got a couple years. Sure, we could remake the House and Senate this coming November, but that's not going to mean a whole hell of a lot with that other guy still in charge of the whole damn thing. So there's not a whole ton of reason to be optimistic right now, right? I pronounce that word really weird. Optimistic. But that's sad. It's awful to think that Americans in record numbers are just giving up hope because of what Donald Trump has done and how bad he has been for this country. But that is what's happening. People are giving up, at least to a degree that they're no longer optimistic. Maybe they're still willing to fight. I hope they are. You know, you can lose optimism. You can still think that things aren't going to get better, but by God, I'm going to keep fighting to make them better. Even if you think it's futile, keep fighting. Because you just might make the change that you're wanting to see, right? And that's what needs to happen in the United States today. It looks bleak. It is bleak. But we band together, we tough it out, we fight back as best we can to the best of our abilities. And that optimism will, of course, eventually return. Super chat from Skeets here says, of course, there's almost no disaster relief and measles are back. Combine that with all the jobs lost and don't forget abortion. If you're trying to cheer us up, it's not working. That's rough. Yeah, measles are back because we have, toilet seat cocaine brainworm in charge of the nation's health. God almighty. I want to get to this last story right here. This is beyond disturbing. This was sent to me last night. A Republican official, actually the chair of the Republican Party for Wasatch County in the state of Utah has been arrested for child abuse. But not just any old form of child abuse. No, his teenage daughter claims that she was essentially waterboarded by this man, who again served as the chair of the Wasatch County Republican Party. Let me read you this. During an interview, the girl said that her father waterboarded her as punishment for not cleaning her room and having it be spotless to her father's expectations before she went out with friends, the affidavit says. When the teen returned home, Johnson grabbed the victim by the back of her neck and took her into the bathroom while the sink was filling with water. She disclosed that Johnson dunked her head under, brought it out, splashed water in her face, then dunked the victim's head under again, according to the affidavit. The victim disclosed that she couldn't breathe for about 20 to 30 seconds. The teen also disclosed multiple incidents involving her siblings allegedly being abused, including a younger brother whom she said Johnson also grabbed by the neck, took him into the bathroom, and forced his head under the water. The victim stated that David removed her brother from the water, splashed water on his face and nose, knocked him down, and repeated the act multiple times. The man, of course, is David Neffy Johnson. Again, the now former chair of the Wasatch County, Utah Republican Party. He was arrested after an investigation because first, of course, DCF or whatever the state agency is there received the complaints from the children. Children said, our dad is abusing us horribly. Here are the things that are happening. Yes, I am willing to give this statement to the police. That happened in January. So the police launched an investigation. After investigating for several weeks, they made the arrest, which of course means, even though he has not been convicted, this is all alleged. However, the arrest happened after several weeks of investigation, which means the police believe they gathered enough evidence to show that this Republican official was in fact torturing his children. Now, again, still alleged. He's been charged but not convicted. So we're not going to say he definitely did these things because that's up to a jury to decide. But this is your party of family values, folks. This is your party of, we have to protect the kids. Oh, the kids. We care so much about the kids. No, you don't. None of you do. Honest to God, there is not a single Republican elected official in this country or Republican candidate seeking office that actually cares about kids. I refuse to believe that. A lot of you don't even seem to care about your own kids. You say that you do because you think that's going to get you ahead in politics. But you have all had the opportunity to genuinely actually protect kids, to make sure that they have roofs over their head, to make sure that they have food on the table, to make sure that they get a quality education, and to protect them from the actual predators out there. And each and every one of those opportunities that you have had, you have failed. You have failed the children of this country who you claim to love so much. And you cling to your Bible that tells you to love and respect all these bullcrap. And yeah, I'm lumping you all in together. No exceptions for any Republicans. Because you may say, well, I didn't vote for these things, but your party did. And as long as you remain a part of it, you are a part of this problem. Scorpius says, considering that the people investigating him are GOP supporters too, kind of surprised he was arrested. That's actually a point I was going to point out too. Okay, this is Utah police, right? In a very Republican county, in a very Republican state. And even they were like, yeah, we got to do this. That tells you a lot, in my opinion. Again, got to wait until the court case, all that. American stupidity doesn't surprise me anymore. I wish it didn't surprise me. It shouldn't, but unfortunately it does. Look, we're going to call it a day on that. I hope everybody enjoys the rest of their day off. If you have a day off, I hope you get the day off. I didn't get the day off. It's fun. I enjoy doing this. This isn't even like work. It's fun. I really do enjoy talking to you folks. If you're not subscribed to the channel, please do subscribe. Help keep us going. And of course, share the content widely. And then more homework for you. Go to other creators and share their content as well. Subscribe to their channels. Let's get all of progressive media because we need all of us. Let's get everybody growing. Let's make everybody successful. Let's keep everybody going because that's what we need to do. Tons of great content coming up for you throughout the rest of the day. Enjoy that. And I will see you folks again tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. Central.